Close your eyes for a moment and remember the last time someone told you, with a soft shrug, "You're just getting older." Those words are small, but they act like a pause button on curiosity, on investigation, on the chance that something treatable might be found. After 60, the body speaks in quieter tones. Recovery takes longer, strength is harder to rebuild, sleep fragments, wounds close more slowly. The immune system hesitates. The 9 essential amino acids are not abstract labels in a textbook. They are the scaffolding, the repair crews, the signal flags that tell cells to rebuild, to clear toxins, to balance mood, and to maintain the muscle that carries daily life. This video will name them plainly, explain what each one does in language that feels like a conversation, and give precise, practical steps you can take at mealtime and in clinic to protect independence, resilience, and clarity of mind. You will hear a compact story you may already recognize. A neighbor loses the spring in his step. A wound takes longer to heal, nights feel restless, and a simple missing ingredient in the diet is part of the reason. We will follow that thread, translate the science into action, and leave you with a clear plan to discuss with your clinician or nutritionist. If this kind of content makes sense to you, subscribe now. Block 1. Why the 9 essential amino acids matter more after 60. Amino acids are the letters of the body's instruction manual. Proteins are the sentences that build muscle, bone matrix, enzymes, antibodies, neurotransmitters, and connective tissue. Of the 20 common amino acids used to make proteins, 9 are considered essential because our bodies cannot synthesize them from scratch. They must come from food. From early adulthood to later life, our demand for efficient repair and maintenance does not decrease. What changes is our capacity to extract, assimilate, and use nutrients. After 60, digestive efficiency declines, gastric acid production can fall, kidney and liver function shift, and anabolic signaling, the body's ability to convert dietary amino acids into new muscle protein, becomes blunted. This is why the same protein intake that sustained you in your 40s may be insufficient in your 60s and beyond. When an essential amino acid is missing or limited, it creates a bottleneck. Imagine an assembly line that needs 9 specific parts to finish a unit. If one part is scarce, the entire process slows. In the body, this can mean slower wound healing because collagen production is limited. Weaker muscles because the stimulus for muscle synthesis is incomplete. Poorer immune responses because antibody production needs a full complement of building blocks. And changes in mood and sleep because neurotransmitter precursors are not available in the required amounts. These are not vague possibilities. They are mechanistically connected outcomes that become clinically visible as fatigue, reduced walking speed, frequent infections, delayed post-operative recovery, and mood changes. Another important point, not all proteins are created equal. Animal proteins, eggs, dairy, fish, meat, typically contain all 9 essential amino acids in proportions that match human needs. They are often labeled complete proteins. Many plant proteins are incomplete in one or more essential amino acids, but can be combined across meals, for example, rice and beans, to create a complete profile. For older adults who eat mostly plant-based diets, intentional pairing across meals matters more than it might have when the body was more forgiving. Beyond mere intake, timing matters. Distributing protein evenly across the day, rather than consuming a single large portion at dinner, provides repeated anabolic signals to muscle tissue, helping to preserve or rebuild strength. Physiologic context matters too. Insulin resistance, chronic inflammation, and hormonal changes that accompany aging modify how the body responds to protein and amino acids. Leucine, for instance, has an outsized role in stimulating muscle protein synthesis. Without enough leucine per meal, the anabolic response is subdued. Similarly, amino acids involved in methylation and detoxification pathways support liver function and neurotransmitter balance, areas where older adults may be particularly vulnerable. Finally, medications commonly used by older adults, such as proton pump inhibitors, certain antibiotics, and others, can alter nutrient absorption or microbiome composition, indirectly influencing amino acid availability. The consequence is that ensuring a broad, reliable supply of all 9 essential amino acids becomes a practical, preventive strategy for preserving function, preventing frailty, and promoting recovery after illness or surgery. In the blocks that follow, we will meet each amino acid, give it a memorable role name, list common food sources that are practical for older adults, and explain simple meal strategies to ensure these building blocks are present when the body needs them most. Block 2, histidine, the guardian of renewal, and isoleucine, the energy supplier. In depth, histidine wears several hats in the body. It participates in tissue repair, contributes to the synthesis of hemoglobin, the oxygen carrier, plays a role in buffering acidity, and supports nerve protection through its metabolite histamine, which when balanced helps immune signaling and wound healing. In older adults who may experience microvascular fragility, anemia of chronic disease, or slower tissue turnover, histidine becomes important because it contributes to the synthesis of proteins needed for repair and oxygen transport. Food sources that reliably supply histidine include poultry, fish, eggs, dairy, soy products, seeds, and legumes. Mechanistically, histidine's role in hemoglobin synthesis links it to energy and cognitive clarity. Adequate hemoglobin maintains oxygen delivery to tissues, including the brain and muscles. In the older adult with borderline anemia or poor dietary iron intake, histidine-rich foods support the body's capacity to make hemoglobin when iron is available. Clinically, this means that when an older patient complains of persistent fatigue, exploring dietary adequacy of histidine alongside iron status and inflammation markers makes sense. Isoleucine is part of the branched-chain amino acids BCAAs, a trio that includes leucine and valine. BCAAs are preferentially used by skeletal muscle for energy and for repair after exertion. Isoleucine helps stabilize energy levels, supports glucose uptake into muscle cells, and assists in the preservation of lean mass. For older adults whose muscle glycogen stores and metabolic flexibility can be reduced, isoleucine intake at meals, especially in the context of resistance exercise or even daily walking routines, supports sustained energy and muscle maintenance. Good food sources include chicken, tofu, lentils, certain cheeses, and seeds. Beyond single food suggestions, consider how these amino acids interact with lifestyle. Resistance training, even low-load exercises performed twice a week, sensitizes muscle to amino acids and magnifies the effect of dietary intake. In other words, the same portion of histidine and isoleucine-rich food becomes more effective when paired with modest, regular strength activity. Hydration and timing matter too. Consuming a protein-rich snack within an hour after exercise helps funnel amino acids to repair pathways. For older adults who struggle with appetite, small frequent protein-rich snacks, yogurt, a hard-boiled egg, a small glass of milk, a spoonful of peanut butter with whole grain crackers are practical options. Safety and interaction notes. Individuals with certain metabolic disorders or chronic kidney disease should consult a clinician before markedly increasing protein intake or starting concentrated amino acid supplements. Many older adults can achieve nutrient targets through whole foods, which include supportive nutrients, vitamins, minerals, and healthy fats, that modulate absorption and benefit overall health. When supplements are considered, prioritizing a conversation with a nutritionist or geriatrician ensures doses and timing match renal, hepatic, and pharmacologic realities. In the next block, we will meet leucine and lysine, two amino acids with outsized influence on muscle synthesis and connective tissue repair, and translate their roles into meal blueprints for everyday life. Block 3, leucine, the architect of strength, and lysine, the bridge builder. Leucine is the alarm bell for muscle. Among the 9 essentials, it is the loudest biochemical command that tells muscle to stop breaking down and start rebuilding. In older adults, the bell becomes muffled. The anabolic response to protein is blunted, a phenomenon researchers call anabolic resistance. That is why leucine matters more after 60. Because it helps convert a meal into a signal that the body can use to rebuild lost muscle fibers, to maintain posture, and to preserve the simple acts that keep independence, like rising from a chair or climbing a short flight of stairs. Food-wise, leucine is abundant in eggs, milk, lean meats, fish, and whey protein. A single large egg provides a meaningful leucine dose. A glass of milk or a portion of yogurt at mid-morning can supply another pulse. For a person who struggles with large meals, brief leucine-rich snacks distributed through the day are a practical strategy. 3 small protein-containing snacks spaced between meals create repeated anabolic windows that add up. Lysine has a different but complementary mission. Think of lysine as the molecule that helps knit the body's scaffolding together. Collagen production, wound healing, and bone matrix maintenance all depend on it. For older adults recovering from surgery, suffering slow-to-heal skin tears, or concerned about fracture risk, lysine-rich foods, fish, eggs, dairy, pumpkin seeds, and legumes are allies. Lysine also supports calcium absorption and aids the formation of connective tissue that keeps joints stable. When lysine is scarce, collagen synthesis is impaired and wounds close more slowly. Clinically, this translates into longer recovery times after minor injuries and more frequent wound complications in people with marginal nutrition. The interaction between leucine and lysine illustrates a larger truth. Building strength and repairing tissue are coordinated tasks. You rarely fix muscle without supporting connective tissue and vice versa. Practically, a meal like grilled salmon with a side of lentils and a dollop of yogurt covers both needs. Leucine from the fish and dairy, lysine from legumes and dairy, plus micronutrients that assist collagen synthesis. For breakfast, an omelet with cheese and a handful of pumpkin seeds can be an efficient, nutrient-dense start to the day. Exercise amplifies the effect of leucine. Even modest resistance training 2 times per week, seated leg extensions with ankle weights, sit-to-stand exercises, or supervised physiotherapy increases muscle sensitivity to amino acids. For older adults with limited mobility, physiotherapists can recommend low-impact, progressive programs that safely stimulate the anabolic response. Hydration and adequate caloric intake matter as well. Amino acids work in the context of an energy-positive environment. If overall calories are too low, the body may use incoming amino acids for energy rather than for repair. Safety notes and interactions. Individuals with stage 4 to 5 chronic kidney disease must consult their nephrologist before increasing protein intake or taking concentrated amino acid supplements. Some medications alter appetite or taste and can reduce intake. When this occurs, focus on nutrient-dense, small-volume options like yogurt, smoothies with milk or whey, and nutrient-rich soups. If supplements are considered, choosing products designed for older adults with appropriate leucine content per serving, for example, 2.5 to 3 grams of leucine per serving in research protocols, and discussing dosing with a clinician ensures safety and relevance. Loop back for retention. Leucine rings the bell for muscle. Lysine knits the tissue that lets you move safely. Together they keep the house standing and the workers rebuilding. Block 4, methionine, the detox guardian, and phenylalanine, the creator of joy. Methionine carries sulfur and methyl groups. In everyday language, it helps the liver process toxins and supports the chemical pathways that generate molecules used in brain health and repair. Through its role in forming same S-adenosilmethionine, methionine participates in methylation reactions that regulate neurotransmitter balance, DNA repair, and cellular resilience. In older adults, when liver clearance can be slower and oxidative stress accumulates, methionine contributes to maintaining biochemical housekeeping. Good dietary sources include tuna, eggs, seeds, chickpeas, oats, and some dairy products. Phenylalanine is the biochemical ancestor of tyrosine and, downstream, of dopamine and other catecholamines. If we imagine mood and focus as a light in the house, phenylalanine is in the wiring that connects the generator to that lamp. In older adults who complain of low motivation, cognitive slowing, or reduced ability to concentrate, ensuring adequate phenylalanine through seeds, nuts, poultry, fish, and cheeses is one piece of the puzzle. Importantly, a dietary pattern that supplies methionine but lacks supporting vitamins will be less effective. For older adults, this argues for whole food strategies that couple protein sources with vegetables, fortified cereals, and dairy, or for targeted supplementation when documented deficiencies exist. Practical meal applications. A breakfast of oats made with milk, topped with chopped nuts and a banana, provides methionine precursors and phenylalanine sources, and adds B vitamins if the grains are fortified. A midday meal of grilled chicken with quinoa and sautéed greens offers a balanced supply of amino acids and micronutrients that support methylation and neurotransmitter pathways. When appetite is low, fortified shakes or smoothies made with milk or a milk alternative, peanut butter, and a scoop of dairy-based protein can concentrate methionine and phenylalanine without requiring large volumes. Safety and drug interactions. Always discuss medication interactions. Some antidepressants and supplements affect neurotransmitter pathways, and combining these with high-dose amino acid supplements without supervision can be unsafe. If this topic fascinates you as much as it does us, comment, "I choose to take care of myself." This precise phrase is a small public commitment that strengthens private resolve. When you write it, you create a cognitive loop that helps translate knowledge into action. If you feel comfortable, add one short practical step you will take this week. For example, I will add a boiled egg to breakfast, or I will bring a one-page list of my medications to my next visit. Block 5, 309, the repairer, tryptophan, the pacifier, valine, balance and endurance, and practical meal strategies. 309 is essential for maintaining mucosal integrity, the lining of the gut, mouth, and respiratory tract, and for collagen formation. In older adults, a healthy mucosa supports nutrient absorption, reduces risk of infections, and helps with healing. Food sources include fish, cottage cheese, sesame seeds, soy products, and lentils. For those with poor appetite or dental issues, soft options like cottage cheese with mashed fruit or blended soups with added tofu offer threonine without chewing strain. Tryptophan, the precursor of serotonin and melatonin, sits at the crossroads of mood and sleep. After 60, fragmented sleep and mood variability are common and often bidirectionally linked. Ensuring dietary tryptophan through turkey, chicken, eggs, seeds, banana, and oats contributes to the raw material the brain needs to regulate sleep and mood. Pairing tryptophan-containing foods with a small carbohydrate, a slice of whole grain toast, or a piece of fruit can facilitate tryptophan transport across the blood-brain barrier by modulating competing amino acids, though this is a subtle physiological effect and should be framed as a supportive, not deterministic, strategy. Valine, the third branched-chain amino acid, along with leucine and isoleucine, supports muscle endurance and mental stamina. Sources include dairy, tofu, legumes, seeds, and lean meats. A balanced BCAA profile across meals helps preserve muscle during periods of illness or reduced activity when catabolism is more likely. For older adults facing short hospital stays or bed rest after procedures, maintaining valine intake in combination with leucine and isoleucine reduces the rate of muscle loss. Putting the 9 together into daily practice requires both variety and distribution. Here are practical, realistic templates for older adults who struggle with appetite, dentition, or meal fatigue. Breakfast template: 1 to 2 eggs or a bowl of Greek yogurt with oats, a tablespoon of seeds, and a small piece of fruit. This provides leucine, tryptophan, methionine, and B vitamins. Mid-morning snack: a small glass of milk or a fortified milk alternative with a handful of nuts or a soft cheese and whole grain crackers. Lunch template: a portion of fish or poultry, a serving of legumes or quinoa, leafy greens, and olive oil. This covers lysine, histidine, valine, and phenylalanine. Mid-afternoon snack: cottage cheese with mashed banana or a nut butter on toast. Dinner template: lean meat or tofu stir-fry with mixed vegetables and brown rice or beans, finishing with a small dairy dessert if tolerated for added leucine. For low appetite days, nutrient-dense soups with added milk powder or blended legumes, or a smoothie with yogurt, oats, nut butter, and a scoop of whey or milk protein can compress nutrients into a small volume. Supplement considerations: whole foods should be first line. Supplements, whey protein, essential amino acid mixes, or specialized geriatric formulas can be useful when intake is insufficient despite efforts. When selecting supplements, aim for products that supply a balanced amino acid profile. Pay attention to leucine content per serving, and avoid high-dose single amino acid supplements without clinical guidance. Always check supplements against medications to avoid interactions and verify renal function first. Final practical tips for absorption and timing: distribute protein evenly across 3 to 5 eating occasions. Pair modest resistance activity with a protein-containing item. Prioritize protein at breakfast to counteract overnight catabolism, and include small, frequent protein-rich snacks for those with poor appetite. Record what you eat for 3 days and review it with a nutritionist to find gaps. Sometimes a single missing snack is the difference between adequate and marginal amino acid intake. Block 6. Communication scripts, clinical conversations, and documentation that change outcomes. Communication is the tool that turns knowledge into action. For older adults, a well-phrased question, a clear goal statement, or a short written timeline can alter diagnostic momentum and open options that would otherwise remain closed. The first practical step is to prepare a one-page summary for any clinical visit. List your top 3 concerns in order, note onset dates and patterns, include a succinct medication list, prescription, supplements, and write one short life goal that matters now. For example, I want to walk with my granddaughter on her birthday in 6 months, or I need to manage pain enough to cook again. Bring this page to appointments, hand it to the clinician at the start, and say, I want us to use this visit to decide which tests or referrals will help me reach my goal. This simple framing shifts the conversation from abstract risk management to concrete function. Use scripted phrases that preserve respect while asserting partnership. I value your expertise. I also need to share what matters most to me. Could you explain how this test or treatment will affect my daily life? And if we choose monitoring, what will we measure and when will we review results? These lines invite clinicians into shared decision-making rather than putting them on the defensive. When clinicians use technical language, ask for plain language translation. Could you say that the way you'd tell a neighbor? Repeat back key points as a check. So if I understand, you think X is likely, but you recommend test Y to be sure. Is that correct? This reflective practice reduces misunderstanding and ensures both parties share the same mental model. Documentation amplifies voice. Ask that your goal statement and any agreed contingency plans be entered into the medical record. When a clinician sees goal, walk 200 meters unassisted in 3 months. Plan, physio referral, protein plan, reevaluate in 8 weeks, Future decisions tend to align with that documented aim. If follow-up timelines are vague, request specific timeframes. When will I get results? Who will call? If I don't hear back by X date, whom should I contact? For urgent symptoms, name the threshold that should prompt immediate reassessment. If breathlessness increases, or if I faint, I will return or call emergency. Keep a dated log of phone calls, symptoms, and visit outcomes. This timeline is invaluable when requesting escalation or second opinions. When you suspect nutritional gaps, ask explicitly for a referral to a registered dietitian or geriatric nutritionist, and request baseline labs that inform nutritional planning. Albumin prealbumin with caveats: B12 iron studies, vitamin D renal function. If a clinician resists, politely request their rationale and whether a trial of nutritional optimization could occur while other diagnostics proceed. Bring a companion if possible. A family member or advocate who can take notes, ask clarifying questions, and act as a second set of ears. For patients preferring privacy, request a written summary at the end of the visit. Over time, these communication habits coalesce into a medical record narrative that centers your goals and increases the likelihood that clinicians will propose interventions, rehab, protein optimization, specialist referrals, rather than defaulting to age-based simplifications. Block 7, supplements, protein powders, essential amino acid mixes, and safety considerations. Food first is the prudent principle, but there are circumstances where supplements make sense. Poor appetite, dysphagia, limited access to varied foods, or increased needs during recovery from illness or surgery. When considering supplements, differentiate between concentrated whole protein supplements, whey, milk protein, soy protein, and isolated essential amino acid, EAA, formulas, or single amino acid products. Whey protein, for example, is rich in leucine and produces a strong anabolic stimulus. It can be useful as a small volume drink after resistance activity or as a snack for those with limited appetite. Essential amino acid mixes can be tailored to deliver a balanced profile without large fluid volumes and may be helpful in acute catabolic states. However, their safety and utility should be judged against renal function, medication interactions, and overall goals. Single amino acid supplements, for instance, high-dose tryptophan or high-dose leucine alone, are rarely necessary for routine maintenance and can carry risk if used without oversight. For older adults with chronic kidney disease, excessive protein or amino acid loads may accelerate azotemia or worsen uremic symptoms. Nephrology input is vital before initiating high-dose supplementation. Translation: a 200 to 250 milliliter serving of milk, plus an egg and a small yogurt, often reaches meaningful leucine content. Small, pragmatic combinations can meet targets without resorting to large shakes. Look for protein supplements that disclose leucine content and prefer products tested for purity and heavy metals. For plant-based older adults, combine complementary proteins and consider fortified plant protein blends that improve amino acid completeness. Pea plus rice blends, soy isolates. Timing matters. Distribute protein intake across the day and prioritize a protein-rich breakfast to counter overnight catabolism. Always discuss supplements with a clinician or dietitian. Review kidney function. Check potential interactions with drugs, antidepressants, anticoagulants, levodopa, and ensure the supplement aligns with caloric goals and glycemic control. Be wary of marketing claims promising miraculous recovery. Targeted, measured use under supervision yields the safest, most reliable benefits. Block 8, shopping list essentials. Eggs, milk fortified milk alternatives, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, variety of fish, tuna, salmon, mackerel, poultry, lentils, chickpeas, beans, tofu, quinoa, oats, seeds, pumpkin, flax, sesame, mixed nuts, leafy greens, root vegetables, whole grain bread, olive oil. Adaptations for common barriers. For chewing difficulties, use soft proteins, scrambled eggs, yogurt, smoothies, mashed legumes. For poor appetite, concentrate nutrients into smaller volumes, protein-enriched porridges, fortified soups, smoothies with whey. For limited budgets, prioritize eggs, canned fish, lentils, and milk as high-protein, low-cost staples. For vegetarian preferences, combine legumes and grains and include dairy or fortified soy to reach completeness. Keep a simple 3-day food log to identify habitual gaps and review with a clinician or dietitian. For post-operative or acute illness periods, increase protein frequency and prioritize easily digestible formats. Milk-based drinks, strained soups with milk powder, or commercially available oral nutrition supplements where appropriate. Finally, pair these meals with gentle resistance activity. Chair stands, light band exercises, or supervised physiotherapy to convert dietary amino acids into functional gains. Block 9. Monitoring progress and when to seek specialist input. Monitoring is essential to judge effectiveness and safety. Simple, useful measures include weight, weekly checks under consistent conditions, hand grip strength, walking speed over a short distance, and functional tasks such as number of site-to-stand repetitions in 30 seconds. For wounds or surgical recovery, track wound dimensions and drainage daily, and photograph with dates for clinician review. If unexplained weight loss, progressive weakness despite nutritional efforts, or new cognitive changes occur, seek specialist input. A geriatrician, a registered dietitian specializing in older adults, or a multidisciplinary frailty clinic. Referral is also warranted when protein intake is limited by dysphagia, severe dental problems, or gastrointestinal conditions that impair absorption. If new edema, uncontrolled blood pressure changes, or shortness of breath appear, consult your clinician promptly. For mood and sleep disturbances that persist despite dietary adjustments, consider referral to mental health services with geriatric expertise, since amino acid precursors are only one component of mood regulation. Finally, form a simple review rhythm. Reassess weight and function at 4 to 8 weeks after initiating a targeted nutritional plan, and document changes in the medical record so your care team can see progress and adjust the plan collaboratively. The 9 essential amino acids are not arcane chemistry. They are practical tools in the daily work of staying strong, healing well, sleeping soundly, and thinking clearly after 60. Histidine, isoleucine, leucine, lysine, methionine, phenylalanine, threonine, tryptophan, and valine. Each bring a distinct role, from collagen synthesis to neurotransmitter precursors to the muscle-sparing signals that preserve independence. Prioritize high-quality protein sources, distribute intake across the day. Pair nutrition with modest resistance activity. Use supplements judiciously under clinical guidance. And document your goals in every clinical encounter. If this kind of content makes sense to you, subscribe now. Share this video with someone who needs to see it today, and help us spread this knowledge. Share with someone special who needs to hear this. Consult your clinician.